You're listening to the best goddamn podcast available with your host, Rob Childs.
What's up, everybody? Today I have someone very, very special, one of the pioneers of women's MMA with 45 fights. Unless I do, I count 50 with The Ultimate Fighter, so 50 professional fights in promotions such as the UFC, Invicta, and Strikeforce, just to name a few. She's known as the Happy Warrior, Roxanne Modafferi. Roxanne, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So everyone knows you as a big anime fan. You're well-spoken, polite fighter who came up through The Ultimate Fighter. Fortunately, you lost, but you were given a second shot to come back. You won. Now you're known as one of the pioneers in women's MMA. You've gotten known for your face-off cosplay costumes, as well as your positive nature for always staying true to yourself. What people don't know is how you got to be where you are now. Kind of like the behind the scenes, I guess, of how you got started in mixed martial arts. You're a heavy grappler, but how do you eventually kind of get into martial arts is kind of where we're going to go with this. So if you don't mind just kind of not introducing yourself, because everybody definitely knows who you are, but just kind of giving us a start, kind of like taking us back to where everything started and how you got into martial arts and what put you there.
Well, I got teased a lot when I was a little kid, and I think that made me kind and more like compassionate towards people, you know. I didn't get beaten up or anything, but it really made me admire heroes like the Power Rangers, for example, or those who would help less fortunate ones. So I wanted to start learning martial arts when I was a kid so I could beat up the bad guys and protect the good people. Yeah. My mom always thought that I wanted to get out aggression because I was upset that my parents were divorced, but I didn't really feel any of that. I just wanted to learn martial arts to become stronger.
What's your favorite ranger before you keep going?
I don't really have a favorite ranger. I guess I admired, the Red Ranger because he was the leader, but Billy was also smart. I didn't really associate with girly girls, so I didn't care so much about Kimberly. I don't know, I liked them all. They were just a good team.
Yeah. No, I always liked the White Ranger because he came in last and he was like the bad guy turned good. I don't know. And then there was the green one. I don't know. I forgot all about Power Rangers. Yeah. Forgot all about that show until just now. So, all right. So anyway, so you wanted to be a Power Ranger.
And I kind of did get to be a Power Ranger, right? Because I ended up cosplaying the Red Ranger. So that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you wanted to be a Power Ranger. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just loved the martial arts and, I never enjoyed hitting anybody or causing anybody pain. My belief was that I wanted to be able to, subdue an attacker without causing them pain or without hurting them. That was kind of like my dream, so that's why I really love jiu-jitsu. I went from, the striking arts, karate, taekwondo to judo and jiu-jitsu because I thought it was the ultimate skill to be able to make someone give up without causing them pain. So that was kind of my dream.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when you train jiu-jitsu, you end up becoming in extreme pain just learning how to do that process of putting somebody else in pain.
Gosh, that's true. Holy crap.
Shoulders and your neck and just everything. It's a whole different ball game when you start training in jiu-jitsu and you start hurting you didn't know could hurt, man.
Right? Yeah.
It can get pretty bad. So when did you start? At what age?
13.
13? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do you kind of break that to people? I mean, the martial arts, yeah. But when you decide to do MMA and you tell people, this is what you wanted to do, you want to cage fight, and you're going away from I guess kind of from my perspective, more of a traditional martial art, and to where there's more of like that respect built in, to where MMA, you know, back when you were starting, it was definitely looked at as just like a brutal, violent, you know, that thing. Was there any resistance to that, and kind of how did you go through that?
Yeah. Yeah, like nowadays, if I say I want to be an MMA fighter, you're not like a fighter, you're an athlete, right? So people are like,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to be an athlete. That's amazing. You work really hard. But back when I was, just coming up, people are like, oh, don't hurt me. Like they try
Yeah.
to kind of like mock me almost like, oh, you want to go punch other girls? Like, what's wrong with you? Sort of thing.
Yeah. Was your family supportive of it?
Um, Well, my mom drove me to martial arts practices forever, so she was used to that. I didn't actually tell my parents that I was doing MMA until I had 3 pro fights.
Really?
So they were supportive of jujitsu because I wasn't, getting punched in the head. And then once they found out I was doing MMA, they were not happy at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But they tried to like say like, okay, follow your dreams, dear. Like, just let us know when you want to quit. But go ahead and we hope you enjoy your life. Like they're trying to be good parents.
Yeah, yeah. So this is
They
just
were. They are.
yeah, so this is basically just a personal journey for you then.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, I definitely want to dive into it, but do you feel like you've kind of completed that journey at this point?
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, I have. I'm satisfied with my MMA career for the most part. Now I'm trying to find a job, and that's a whole different ball game. But overall, the MMA journey is finished, but I'm still on my jiu-jitsu journey.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So let's kind of like walk through this. I know I've followed your career since The Ultimate Fighter. That's kind of where I feel like a lot of people, were definitely exposed to who you were. I remember on the show you were always a very positive person. And for me personally, it's a very weird thing to see. Just kind of growing up in the environment I grew up in, that positivity leads to like vulnerability, and it's always been like a weird thing, but it's drawn me to you, of like wanted to follow your career. And it's something, like you watch other people and you're like, oh, I aspire to have that, and that's something that I've always aspired to do, is to be able to be like open and positive the way that you have. How have you been able to carry that, throughout your career, in as like you as the person, other than the fighter? How is that kind of, do you feel like that's helped you and everything?
Hello, are you frozen? Oh,
No.
okay, good. I thought I saw a blank.
No.
Yeah, so I had mental training as a youth with my mom. Like I attribute a lot to her. For example, let's say my knees are all banged up, so I have to wear knee pads. I think humans tend to naturally think a negative thought. So I would say, oh man, like my knees are banged up. I have to wear knee pads for the rest of my life. But she would say, no, honey, let's think of it this way. You're able to do jujitsu, so you could, because you're able to wear knee pads for the rest of your life. I'm like, oh, like it's the same thing, but the way she put it makes me appreciate like, oh, I'm still able to do jujitsu because I can wear knee pads. This is great, as opposed to the other way of thinking. So
Yeah.
she helped me find ways to train my brain into seeing the same situation more positively. Like, let's say you're driving and someone cuts you off. You're like, oh, I got it, like I almost died, like jerk, angry. Well, I would acknowledge that emotion, then I would say, well, gosh, I hope he makes it to his destination safely because he's driving like a maniac. Maybe his wife is in the hospital. Like, I hope he's okay. I hope he makes it. So I try to like turn that in a different way and think of it a different way. And plus it does help that I think I'm naturally more like spunky. And I really try to enjoy every little thing more than usual. Like I try to over enjoy things. Like, for example, I freaking love chocolate ice cream. It's the best food in the world. So let's say my boyfriend brings me home chocolate ice cream. I might think, oh, this is great, chocolate ice cream. No, my wonderful boyfriend loves me and he wants to make me happy. So he brought me this ice cream and I'm going to enjoy it. And then I'm so happy that I have a boyfriend who loves me. We're going to get married. This is great. So like, I really try to like relish every bit of positive emotion, even though it's a small thing, and that helps me get more out of life.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that in you, in like how you switch the perspective. I've been trying to do that. It's something that I don't, does that come naturally, or have you had to kind of work on that consistently? Because I have to try, and it doesn't happen very often, and I'm proud of myself when I do, but it's like two
Well,
out
I
of
wrote a book actually. It's called Mental Training. So feel free to check it out. It's on my
Yeah,
website.
yeah. I was hoping we could get into those, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to pick those up. Just kind of in like diving into more of the research of you. That's kind of where I came across those, and the
I don't know
fact
if you're
that
going to get into this, but like also when I was going through like my losing streak, I was like, oh man, this sucks. I suck. I can't win. And then I told myself, like, no, like you're an intelligent woman. Let's problem solve. Why are you losing? Let's go try to find a solution. So I tried to I had this big ball of energy right, like upset energy. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to put this energy towards being upset about my problem. I'm going to put it towards a solution. So today I'm going to go like try to ask people about a different coach. I'm going to try to like find a different gym. Like I'm going to try to make some change that's going to improve my life. So that's how positivity and like my mental training kind of helped me refocus my energy to something productive that helped me in my career.
yeah, yeah. When you were going through your losing streak, it's I don't, like in researching you and seeing that losing streak, it almost seemed like I also like I'm kind of going through a losing streak right now. And so the timing, like I'm hoping I don't fuck this up too much to where we can actually talk about it. But like the timing and like that, it seemed like it'd be a good segue to have a conversation about losing. If you are open to that, because it's
Mhm.
when you look at your record on paper, it's not the greatest record. But you are a huge pioneer in the sport. You've had a shit ton of fights, and losing is part of the sport. And I feel like the sport, and for me, has given me more life lessons than I actually thought I was going to get. I thought I was just going to go learn some jiu-jitsu, some Muay Thai, like try to stay away from wrestling. And I instead I ended up learning life lessons every single day. That helps me when you do get those life lessons of losing. How do you handle taking a loss? Because you've been all over the world. You moved to Japan for this, and you've had some losses there as well, I believe. So how do you handle taking a loss on a personal level, like outside of the cage, once the cameras are off and you're alone? What's your process for that?
I've actually really struggled with taking losses. I feel like in the beginning of my career, it was easier, sort of. Like I was still so distraught. Like I remember one time I lost to one of my rivals. I wanted to go like jump off a bridge. Like I was just so upset. So I had to make it through the night, cried all night. And then I woke up the next morning and I said, all right, so we're going to train really hard. So by the time that we have our next fight, like me and myself, by the time we have our next fight, we're not going to be the same person who just lost last night. We're going to change ourselves. We're going to be better. So like, I kept that pain of that loss. Like basically everything I had wasn't enough, and all my months of training wasn't enough. And it really was hard. But then I trained really hard and I was able to, have the confidence in myself for the next fight because I trained really hard. But I feel like these past maybe 5 fights,
Mhm.
it's been worse, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly why. It might be because the stakes were higher, and that now I was in the UFC, and if I didn't win, I would make half the money. It's like huge.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't be able to get another opportunity. I might get cut. So it wasn't just like, it started out just being a test of my own skills, and then it turned into like, oh, you not only do you suck, which is not true, but that's what you think,
Mhm.
what I thought, but you don't get money, get the next opportunity. Your career is damaged. Like, it's so much pressure. So that's another reason why I was like, man, I'm excited to stop fighting, because I feel like a little part of me dies every time I lose a fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I could probably have handled my losses better. I don't know if I needed more guidance, or maybe it was just my warrior spirit, because I went into fights not like with an athlete mind. I went in with a martial arts mind, like, oh, I have to, win. Like the anime heroes inspired me. Like, oh, I have to beat the bad guy to save the world, which is not true, but
Yeah.
So I think I put too much pressure on myself, and I like not associated. I linked my self-worth in with my wins and losses, which is not good, but you almost can't help it. Like when you're a martial artist, I don't know. I guess I could do like a survey of how my other fellow martial artists handle losses, but I did really struggle with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but going through those losses, you lost. The big one that I saw you lose was the Ultimate Fighter. Was the first one, and then you came back. What's that like? Kind of coming back from those losses and getting that call. Getting into the UFC, having that contract. Are the highs as high as the lows are low?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, winning is pure ecstasy.
Yeah,
it's the best feeling in the world.
What was your celebration like when you finally got that contract, that you were in the UFC? You had gone through all the other promotions and you made it, because your dream wasn't ever to win the belt per se. Like I don't mean to be negative in that. Like it's kind of going off interviews that I've watched. Your dream was to be in the UFC, and to compete as a martial artist in the UFC, and you accomplished that dream. What do you do once you do that?
I jumped around and ate a lot of ice cream. Exactly as you said, that was my dream, to accomplish that was so cool.
Yeah.
I just have to keep reminding myself. Anytime I get bummed out about my losses, I have to tell myself, hey, you lost in the UFC. That was your goal. So, I got to give myself some credit.
And on a personal level, watching the way that you handled the losses helped me, because like it's hard to show emotion for me. I know for a lot of people it can be hard to show emotion, but for me it's hard to even like accept a loss, but you're able to display those emotions openly, and like it's okay to like cry and to be upset or whatever, and to see that on TV it's genuine to who you are. So that does help. It helped me in a level of thinking that I wasn't just watching a fighter, I was watching a person, and it helped me
awesome.
kind of follow your career and be like, all right, it's okay to lose, and to learn and to come back through that. To segue that.
You're right. It really is okay to lose.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I had no idea that it was okay to lose, and I didn't know that it was also okay to say that you're not okay. That's a thing that I'm learning as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that was going, but I need to know, like with all the like any losses that you had or problems, as specifically a woman. I believe I texted you this question. It's from an important person in my life. She wants to know, was there any barriers kind of getting into the UFC as a woman? And kind of how did you overcome those barriers?
I think the only barrier that I really felt was the frustration of not getting as many fight offers as I wanted. Because as fighters, I am always trying to be ready. I'm always trying to stay near my weight. I kept my weight to a certain level where I could be ready to take a last minute fight on like a week and a half's notice. So I was always ready. I was always trying to do burpees and keep my cardio up, and and I got fights like twice a year, maybe 3 times if I was super lucky. So I think I just wanted to fight more. So that was really frustrating. I think I really feel like the UFC is relatively fair for women and men. Like if you're good, they'll give you a chance. If you're skilled, or if you're entertaining, they'll give you a chance, and they pay relatively similarly, for men and women. I don't see a huge discrimination there, so that's cool. I don't know if there were any real barriers for me as a woman. Maybe there were, but I was kind of oblivious. I just wanted to fight more, and that was my main thing.
Yeah. But you always said yes, right? You never really said no to a fight. You were kind of known for that. It seems like you'd be getting more offers. Was it just your weight class and like the time, or why were people afraid of you?
No, I think that most fighters want to fight more. If I could, I would fight like 6 times a year, but or more even. But I think it's just that there are a bunch of fighters, and then depending on where you're located, the promotions have to fly you in. So when I fought in Japan, it was hard because there were hardly any Japanese women my size. I fought them already. So they were like, who's Roxanne going to fight? And then the American promotions had to fly me in. That was $1,000 plane ticket, hotels, licensing. And then when I got into Invicta, I think my purse was a little more expensive than others, and they had to fly me in, and then they had to pay me, so they couldn't always afford to put me on the cards a lot. And then the UFC, they have other fighters who need to be fought. So it was just a thing. Like, it's not like anyone was afraid of me. It was just the way it worked out.
Yeah. What was more exciting for you? Like finally getting that dream of like having the UFC contract, or traveling over to Japan, to learn martial arts and getting your first fight?
Everything was exciting to me. I try to be excited about everything. That's one of my chapters in my book. Be excited about everything.
Yeah, I wish I was as excited as you. It seems like you're just so happy about everything that you come across. How do you carry that? Like, I don't know. I just wish that I could like buy that part of you, like just like go to a store and like buy that positivity. I'm trying to find a way to be able to capture some of it.
Well, gosh, actually, I try to learn vicariously from other people. So like, I remember hearing stories about people who actually have cancer and they have a certain amount of time to live. And I think, man, what if I had a certain amount of time to live? Like, what would I do? I would like appreciate every day. So like, even now I'm thinking about how cool it is to get to meet you and talk to you like a new person. And you said some cool things like it's really okay to lose. And I've learned that. And I'm like, gosh, maybe it is okay to lose, and you learn things from it. So like, I'm super excited to be able to talk to you and interact with a new person. So I just think about how life is so cool and we get to live it. And, every moment, I just try to enjoy every moment, really.
Yeah. Yeah, life is pretty cool. Life is turning into this weird game. I feel like, to where it's just like if you mess up, you can just restart. Like I spent a lot of my life as an alcoholic, to be honest, and drug addict, and had to check myself into rehab, and now coming up on like 4 years next week of sobriety, and
Congratulations.
It's kind of one of those things to where it's like a next chapter, and you can restart. You can go from one career to something completely different, and in doing that, it's almost like playing like the next level, in a video game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like how there's levels in martial arts. That's how I look at life. Is like just like the next level, and the hard thing that it's for me to beat the boss of the level is I kind of look at something as like, if I have a big decision that I don't want to do, but I know doing it is going to give me a great positive outcome, that ends up being the what the heck is this? I don't even know. But yeah, that ends up being like the big boss, and how I can end up getting to the next level.
That's really cool. I love that way of thinking.
Do you have any weird ways of thinking like that? I don't mean to call them weird, but like, there's got to be something else out there.
Kind of just like challenges. Like when something makes me think super negatively, I sometimes think, all right, this is going to, my next challenge is figuring out how to see this thing, this horrible thing in a positive light. Like, what can I do? I'm the happy warrior. I can do anything. Like, I need to be able to figure out how to make this positive. So that's kind of like a challenge for me.
Yeah.
But I do also want to say, like, I'm the way I am, but I also had a pretty nice childhood. So I recognize that people who had like traumas in their childhood, like they have other challenges, other mental challenges they have to get through. So it's not always just about how you think. It's like, I do recognize that people have a lot of crap happen to them that's not their fault, that they have to get through. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I had a lot of childhood trauma that led to like the alcoholism, but I've had a lot of friends that had really good parents growing up and, like a very good life, and that you can't take away problems that you have, in that life. Everybody has issues. So it's just like, the perspective of, you getting into a car accident or a fender bender, could be as detrimental as somebody wrecking their car. It just depends on the perspective. So
okay, yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. It's but yeah, I don't know, it's a weird thing to look at.
Okay, well, this interesting video game analogy, I really like that. I like video games, so that made sense to me.
Yeah. All right, so I need to get into a few more things before we get you out of here. I know you have a very busy schedule.
Okay.
I feel like I had like so many things and I'm not really hitting any of them, but I'm trying here. This is a new thing. I feel like I'm not the best podcaster, which is why people listen to me, because they can see me actively mess up and not know what to say. But no, it's cool. So I do want to get back to you getting into the UFC and kind of into your career. When you're training and you're going through all these fight camps, how are you kind of living your life on a day-to-day basis? Is it, just fight, eat, sleep, train, and that's your life? Or are you going about, doing more than that?
Pretty much everything in my life I focused around fighting. So the food fuels my body. Unless it's ice cream, then it doesn't really, fuel my body. Food is healthy. I got to make sure I have enough sleep. I have to make sure I get the right training, because I want to be able to look back on my training and say, I did everything that I possibly could do to give myself an advantage in this fight. So I pretty much was super focused on just training and making myself better. And teaching kids jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Do you feel like teaching has helped you get better?
No, because I was teaching little kids like 5 to 7. So, teaching them how to shrimp, how to do a mount escape. Like if I taught adults more complicated things, probably, so that's where that phrase comes from, you get better. But that's probably for adults, but not like little kids.
Okay. Yeah. I was just kind of curious how that was going to go. So,
which is unfortunate, because that would have been cool to get better from teaching, but it didn't really happen. But it relaxed my heart. So I went, I had a hard day at training or whatever, and then I went in exhausted and cranky, and then the kids are like, Coach Roxanne, can I choke you? And I'm like, oh, sure, Hannah, you can choke me. And then I'm all happy again. That's our little deal. So the kids sneak attack me, and I'm like, no, you mustn't sneak attack me. Someone could get hurt, but if you ask me nicely if you can choke me, then you can always. So that was our little deal.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love going to the gym.
So cute.
Yeah, I love going to the gym. I think it's on Wednesdays. We have gi jiu-jitsu for kids, and there's 30 little gis running around, and I don't know, it's hilarious just to see these kids running around. It's really cute. It's a different side to martial arts that I wish the general population knew more of, that it was more of a family sport. And with the family sport, you're talking about you have your boyfriend. I thought you got engaged.
Well, fiance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you are engaged, and do you have any plans for the wedding?
Yes, it's going to be October 16th of this year.
Okay. How are you doing it? Is this something you want to keep private and you're not trying to put out there?
I mean, I just won't tell you where it is so that no one crashes it.
Yeah, no. Are you having a big wedding, or is it just a small private gathering?
I want to keep it kind of smallish, like 100 people ish, so we're inviting our family and then like some friends.
Yeah. Nice. And what is next for you? It seems like you've traveled the world. You teach kids, you've fought your whole life. You're an author. You've done amazing things. You're deep into the cosplay world and anime. You could go in so many different directions. I could see you creating your own anime. But yeah, what's next for you?
Well, I'm looking for a job now. And maybe after we get married, I can have a kid. We're thinking of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna come up with a cool name based off of an anime character?
Heck no. It was hard enough for me having a name that's like the song and title of several songs, and then so no, we're gonna hopefully, if my fiance will agree, have a nice normal but cool sounding name that no one can tease them off of.
Yeah, well, I mean, anything now, like you never really know with names. You could name a kid anything. I mean, like Michael Jackson named his kid Blanket, so
Name his kid what?
Blanket. Like, remember, yeah, that was like a thing like a while ago. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean, you can have any name that you want. It's
My training partner named his daughter Athena, and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Like that's a goddess's name. That's so cool. Like,
yeah.
How can you tease anyone? Like, you're Athena. Like, oh
yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. No, especially if they're a positive person, like it'll definitely carry very well. So, all right. Well, I feel like we've talked, and I didn't really bring up as much as I wanted to. I feel really bad, especially for my audience, my friends, but I had a good.
I feel like we talked about a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, no, we did. It's just there's just so much more that I wish we could talk about. Like actually talk about your come up, talk about your career. But I mean, I could pick your brain for hours on, everything from like training techniques to what the business side of, being in the UFC is like. But that's not really part of your life now. You've kind of moved on. But yeah,
maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe another time. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let you get out of here. Go ahead and end this. And I genuinely appreciate you coming on. So I do want to thank you for coming on and for supporting me in this, having a good conversation. And, maybe we can come on again and talk some sort of philosophical life experiences again. So I don't know.
Awesome. Well, it was a good pleasure getting to know you. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and it's good to talk to you, and I'll talk to you soon.